to the channel. I'm back to break down this 12-game slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into it, I have released multiple packages over there on Patreon. You can go ahead and check those out if you're interested to get access to things like my starting pitching data sheet that you see behind me during the videos, my hot hitter StatCast data tool, my team hitting data tool, my bullpen data, my power rankings, and my cheat sheet. And today that will be free if you want to go ahead and check that out. As always, if you're new to the channel, Free Friday, I always offer my tools for free to give back to you guys for being viewers, and then to also give you a little bit of a sneak peek as to what I have to offer so that if you're interested, you can go ahead and purchase. So free today, guys. Link in the description. Check that out. You can follow me over on Twitter at KJK _DFS. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. So as always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. And the guy that tops the slate today in K rate is that in Tyler Glasnow, taking on these Baltimore Orioles. He has a 31.9% K rate, a 12.3 swinging strike rate. The ground ball rate and the fly ball rate's very good. A 33% K rate against righties, and then against lefties, it drops down to a 30.7, but still very impressive. And he's very impressive in the ground ball, the fly ball, the WOBA, the hard hit rate, and the slugging. So Tyler Glasnow kind of offering the full package today for us. And when you go over to his matchup and the Vegas lines, you can see that he comes in as a 205 favorite, taking on these Baltimore Orioles. So we like to see that, and then we also like to see it looks like there's going to be 12-mile-an-hour winds blowing in straight away from center, so that will always help our case with our pitching. Tyler Glasnow comes in at 9.7, so yep, top pitcher on the slate today. And then when you're looking at my team hitting data sheet and breaking down these Orioles by strikeout rate, we can see that they do have, one sec, we got to sort this sheet. Sorry for the delay. All right, the Baltimore Orioles. So we can see that they do have a 22.3% K rate, which actually isn't terrible. But with that being said, when we're looking at the splits against righties, you know, 22.7, but you're looking at the hard contact rate, the fly ball, the BABIP, and all that stuff. Not the greatest. They're not the most threatening lineup in the world. And I do think that we can go ahead and target Tyler Glasnow today. So first option on the slate. Moving further along, let's see. The next guy that we're going to want to have interest in is that in Zach Gallen taking on these Houston Astros. Zach Gallen has a 28.2% carry, a 12.5 swinging strike rate, a 29.4% K rate against righties, and then a 26.9% K rate against lefties. So yeah, he's just been really good. The only thing I will say is that these Houston Astros do not strike out a lot. So while we do like Zach Gallen's numbers, it is going to be difficult as far as his matchup's concerned. And he does come in at a 9.5K price tag. So I do think that he's an elite pitcher. I do think that we want to have interest targeting him every single time he takes the mound. However, with that being said, you know, the matchup isn't providing us the most upside. So just keep that in mind if you're playing him today. But his numbers do back up as to why we would want to have interest in him. So next guy on the list is Chris Paddock. He's a 26.5% K rate. Very good across the board. The walk rate's very impressive. He has a 30.5% K rate against right-handed hitting and then a 22.9% K rate against lefties. So we do prefer to target him in right-handed heavy matchups if at all possible. And when looking at the Seattle Mariners lineup today, you can see that they are rolling out quite a few. It's kind of a blend, to be honest with you. It's pretty much 50-50, but at the end of the day, when looking at my team hitting data sheet and looking at these Mariners, we could see that they do have some pretty bad numbers across the board. You know, they have a 24.3% carry. The WOBA, the ISO, the slugging isn't impressive. And then against right-handed pitching, it's the same type of deal. Not very impressive, and the strikeout rate's there. So with Chris Paddock's numbers, I do think that we can go ahead and target him today, taking on the Seattle Mariners. I think he's a great option on the slate. And then moving further along here, I'm just going to scroll up to the top of the slate real quick. As far as matchups are concerned, the best matchup on the slate, we're consistently, you know, slate in and slate out targeting these Detroit Tigers. And when looking at who's pitching to them today in Zach Plesac, we can see, you know, he doesn't have the most impressive numbers, but he might have good enough numbers to get it done against the Tigers because they're worst on this in the league in strikeout rate, or second to worst. I know them and the Brewers are the ones we're looking to target consistently because Both of those teams have really been struggling in the K rate this year. And yeah, the Brewers and the Tigers are the bottom two. So Tigers right here, you can see, taking on right-handed pitching. They do have a 27.8% K rate, which is not good at all. And looking at Plezak's numbers, it's not that they're really impressive, but they're not terrible. He's a 20.2% K rate. The swing strike rate's decent at 10.6. He has pretty decent WOBA, fly ball, ground ball, hard contact numbers, and the walk rate's good. And then against lefties, it's the same type of deal. He's just consistently, he's not great, but when we factor in his matchup, he's definitely good enough to get the job done because he's going to get a big K boost taking on these Detroit Tigers. And he does come in as a 195 favorite on today's slate. So you have to like Zach Plezak today. And then I'll throw a couple more names out there for you guys before we get into bats on today's slate. And the next guy's going to be that we have three more guys that we can target. We have Rich Hill taking on the Chicago Cubbies. He has a 27.2% K rate. The ERA is good. The SIERA is good. He has a 28.8% K rate against righties and then a 21.8% K rate against lefties. However, the hard contact, the WOBA, and the fly ball stuff gets a lot better against lefties. So while the K rate is better against righties, he does do better against lefties as far as ground ball and stuff is concerned. But when looking at his matchup today in the Vegas lines, we don't have Vegas lines yet, but he is playing in Chicago and Wrigley, and there's 14-mile-an-hour winds blowing straight in, so that's going to increase the appeal a lot for him and increase the appeal a lot for Kyle Hendricks as well, who was taking on the Minnesota Twins. So they're both in the same pitching environment. You got to have interest in them. And then the last guy that I'm going to mention is Zach Greinke taking on these Diamondbacks. Former team, he has a 23.4% K rate, 44.6% ground ball rate. The fly ball rate's very good. The walk rate's very good. He has a 24.2% K rate against righties and then a 22.5% K rate against lefties. And most notable is just the matchup. The Arizona Diamondbacks have been very bad. They're not an impressive team. And looking at the Vegas lines, he does come in as a 167 favorite, and he's at the 10.1K price tag on DraftKings. So he's priced up, but for a reason. And I definitely think that you could have interest in playing Zach Greinke today on today's slate. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start moving over to bats. Before I do that, real quick, I will mention, as I mentioned, my Patreon package is free today, and you'll get access to things like my power rankings, give you a little sneak peek as to what that'll look like. I give you my top 3 optimal plays at each position, regardless of salary. These are just guys that I like the best in their spots. Their numbers match up as far as their hitting talent and the pitcher they're taking on. Then you get my cheat sheet as well, which will break down each play by price tier. This will be filled out for you guys, link in the description. So go ahead and check that out throughout the day, and if you're interested, you can go ahead and purchase the package and get access to it every single day, as well as bullpen data, team hitting data, and then my StatCast data, my top hot hitters in the league, all this fun stuff. So anyways, enough of that. Let's start breaking down the hitting today. And when doing this, as always, I like to sort my sheet by SIERA, skill interactive ERA, because it's a great way to tell how good a pitcher's been so far in its career and how good he'll be in the future. And when looking at the worst guy in the slate in SIERA, it is Ryan Castellini taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. And this is going to be a scary good spot because he has to face the Dodgers, they're arguably the best lineup in the league. And they're going into Coors Field, and they're taking on this guy who has a .522 slugging against righties, a .381 WOBA, a 49.1 hard hit rate against right-handed hitting, and then against lefties, it doesn't get much better. So this is going to be like scary good for these Dodgers. You're going to want to get every single Dodgers bat in your lineup today at all costs, because with the hitting weather and the matchup, the Dodgers might score 20 runs today. So Mookie Betts, Corey Seager, Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Will Smith, Cody Bellinger, Chris Taylor, Edwin Rios, Gavin Lux. I don't like giving you broad analysis. I try to give you specific plays, but play anyone and everyone in this lineup today, and the more that you can fit in, the merrier. It's going to be a ridiculous spot for these Dodgers, and I have a ton of interest in targeting these bats today. So I think I made that very clear. Yeah, top spot of the slate. Second spot of the slate is going to be for the New York Yankees, facing Martine Perez of the Boston Red Sox. Martine Perez has not been good. He has a 16.5% K rate, 8.9 swinging strike rate, not good. A 16.3% K rate against righties, and the slugging, he has a 485 slugging, giving up a 363 WOBA, not good. And then against lefties, he is pretty impressive. So we prefer to target him only with the right-handed bats, and the Yankees are going to provide you with a ton of options in that category because they are a very right-handed heavy lineup. And once again, scary good spot. The only thing that wouldn't make me love the spot is the weather. It's looking like it's going to be about 59 degrees in Fenway with winds blowing in from left at 11 miles an hour. So, that's a little bit of a downer. But other than that, this is a tremendous spot. DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Judge, Aaron Hicks, Luke Voit, Giancarlo Stanton. Every single hitter in this lineup is going to be hitting from the right-handed side of the plate. I always make sure to tell people that Aaron Hicks is a switch hitter, but he does excel better from the left-handed side of the plate, meaning when he's facing right-handed pitching. So, not that I don't want to play him. The thing with him is he's only 3.6K, so he's the cheapest guy in the stack, and he does have the worst numbers, but he's the cheapest guy in the stack, and he hits in the 3 spot. So it's tough deciding on that. I would say if you can fit in anyone else, do it. But if you can't, don't feel bad about throwing him in. I just have to tell you he's better against right-handed pitching. But we do prefer these right-handed bats. I mean, my favorite in the lineup is definitely Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton just absolutely kills left-handed pitching. And when you're looking at Martine Perez's splits, I think he's definitely going deep today. I mean, he's my favorite play in the lineup, hands down. But then, I mean, these other guys grade out very well, very good as well. DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Judge, Luke Voit, Giancarlo Stanton, Gleyber Torres, Gio Urshela, Clint Frazier, Gary Sanchez. It's going to be a very good spot for them. So the Dodgers and the Yankees are 1A and 1B today, both in very, very good spots. And then we have a 1C because this slate is going to be crazy because there's too many good options. UC Kikuchi taking on the San Diego Padres. He sucks ever since he's come over to the U.S. and to start in the majors. His transformation over to the major leagues has not gone too smoothly for him. The ground ball and the fly ball stuff's good. The walk and the hard hit rate's decent. But it gives up a 517 slugging to right-handed hitting. And against lefties, he's much better. That makes sense because he's a lefty. But he does still give up a 480 slugging. So we prefer to target him with right-handed hitters. And the San Diego Padres, once again, are a lineup that is just stacked. And they match up very well with him. So these 3 teams that I'm talking about to start this slate are in ridiculously good spots. Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Austin Nola, Will Myers. All those guys are tremendous plays today. The bottom of the lineup is getting a little bit thin as far as talent with some injuries. However, with that being said, they're very, very cheap. So I wouldn't mind going ahead and stacking up this team at the bottom of the order with 3 guys that are borderline bottom, minimum salary with the spot that they're in. That wouldn't hurt my feelings. So obviously, our favorite preferred options are Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado. They're my top 2 options. Austin Nola is a tremendous catching option, and Will Myers crushes left-handed pitching as well. So Will Myers, we don't want to leave him out. Jorge Una, Mateo, and Mejia are all good salary relief options, and then you could throw in a Jerks and Profar for salary relief as well. So yeah, San Diego Padres. Third spot to target on today's slate. Jaime Barria is a guy that we enjoy targeting, but when you're looking at his splits, he has a 543 slugging giving up to right-handed hitting, and then a 380 giving up to lefties. He's actually reverse splitsy. He's a right-handed pitcher, but he struggles against right-handed hitting. So usually I love targeting him, but when you're looking at this Texas Rangers team, they don't really have a lot of threatening right-handed hitting. So Jaime Barria might be actually interesting on the cheap end and only 6.5K as a salary relief guy because Texas does have some power, but they do have a bunch of guys that strike out, and Jaime Barria has a 20.8% K rate against lefties. So I'm not going to want to target him with the bats today. Someone to mention. And then moving further along, the next spot that we're going to want to target for bats when looking at the slate here, these guys that are coming up next, I don't really think I'm wanting to target, even though they're not good. It's just the lineups they're facing. I don't really think I'm going to want to integrate these stacks into my lineups today. But I will say probably the next guy on our list as far as Sierra and we can target is, well, I got another. There's some weather here too. I'll touch on that. But first spot is these Milwaukee Brewers taking on Danny Duffy. So Danny Duffy is a respectable pitcher. I say respectable. He's bad if you look at the Sierra, but it's not like he's terrible like these first couple guys we talked about in Castellini, Martine Perez, and Kikuchi type of deal. However, he's very, very bad against right-handed hitting. If you look at his numbers against lefties, he's pretty impressive. It's just the righties that kill him. And with that being said, this Milwaukee team does have some right-handed pitchers that mash lefties. So, Avisail Garcia, Keston Hiura, Ryan Braun, Jed Jerko, Orlando Arcia, Urias, Taylor, and Nottingham. Premier options would be Avisail Garcia, Ryan Braun, and Jed Jerko. They're my three favorites from this lineup, and they do crush lefties, and they're actually in the 3K price range on DraftKings. So that's very affordable. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these guys in my cheat sheet today in the mid-range because, they're very affordable, and that's a good spot for those guys. So they're a lineup to mention today. And then moving further along, the next lineup we'll probably want to target is that in the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm going to give you guys three more teams to target, and then we'll wrap this video up. So the Tampa Bay Rays taking on Alex Cobb. He has a 15.5% K rate. His swing strike rate is very bad. He just doesn't get anyone to swing and miss. His ground ball and fly ball stuff's good, but the ball's going to be put in play a lot, and he gives up a 551 slugging to right-handed hitting, very bad, and then a 463 slugging to lefties. So he does really struggle against right-handed hitting. And when looking at the Tampa Bay Rays, they are a very left-handed heavy lineup. So we're once again dealing with a splitsy pitcher, and it really comes down to how the other lineup stacks up against him. And while the Rays are definitely in a good spot, I'm not going to talk you off them. I think you can go ahead and stack them up and feel great about it. But I think I say feel great. You can stack them up, and it's a valid stack. Alex Cobb's not an elite pitcher, but he's better against left-handed hitting. So I still feel good about it in the sense that he's not a good pitcher, but I don't feel great about it because of his splits and how he lines up against left-handed pitching. And then you throw in the fact that there's 12 mile an hour winds blowing in from center, and that's another thing to kind of dampen the appeal. The next spot is one that I've been waiting to talk about because I'm excited for it, but we have weather again. I think weather is going to probably impact where you go on the slate, honestly, because there's a lot of spots where there's wind blowing in, and when there's 17 mile an hour winds blowing in, I want to love these Atlanta Braves today taking on Steven Matz. Steven Matz is a sinker ball thrower that I love to target because he sucks in early innings. Anytime he takes the mound in the first inning, if you look at Steven Matz's career's numbers in the first inning, it's very, very bad. And then he seems to settle in every single time. He has to go out there and give up 6 runs before he can pitch to major league hitters. I don't get it, but it's good to target. He has a 22.7% K rate. Right-handed hitting, he gives up a 458 slugging, and then against lefties, it's a 422. He's very good against lefties. However, these Atlanta Braves have a bunch of guys that crush left-handed pitching, and I would be all in on them. It's just the wind. The wind's blowing in 17 mile an hour winds from left, so it's like that's kind of important here. I mean, Ronald Acuna, Marcell Ozuna, Travis d'Arnaud, Dansby Swanson, all of these guys crush left-handed pitching, but you have to pay a big price tag for them. So I want to promote them. I just have to put an asterisk next to them because of the weather today. So take that for what you will, but that would be my second to last. And my last spot is the very first game here in these Cleveland Indians taking on Michael Fulmer. When you're looking at Michael Fulmer's numbers, less than impressive across the board. Against righties, he gives up a 474 slugging, not good. And then against lefties, it's a 466. So he's just not good across the board, really. And we could definitely target these Cleveland Indian bats. And then they have 56-degree weather, but they have winds blowing out to center. So actually a good hitting environment here, finally. Francisco Lindor, Cesar Hernandez, Jose Ramirez, Carlos Santana, our top options. Franmil Reyes has a ton of power. Tyler Naquin has a ton of power. Roberto Perez, Josh Naylor, and DeShields, you can all throw in for salary relief. But when you're stacking up the Indians, you always want to target the premier bats if possible. And Lindor, Ramirez, Santana, all switch hitters. They're all going to get the platoon advantage. And then Cesar Hernandez is a decent play. He just doesn't have a lot of power, so you better be hoping that his team's scoring runs and he's getting singles and doubles in the gap with some RBIs because he's most likely not going to hit a home run for you. Franmil Reyes in the 5 spot is a guy that will hit a home run. A ton of power, and I would have interest in him today. So yeah, that's my overall breakdown of today's slate. I think we covered all the good spots. I think there's I don't know, these first two spots or three spots that I mentioned on the slate today are just ridiculously good. The Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Padres. They're all in spots to just absolutely crush their opponent. And yeah, those are the guys I'm looking to fit in. It's going to be interesting with lineup construction because these bats are priced up. These guys have elite bats, so we're gonna have to find some cheap pitching, and I would keep an eye on my cheat sheet and my power rankings, as I mentioned, free today. So as I'm breaking down and I'm filling out these cheat sheet and power rankings and figuring out who we're gonna want to get in our lineups in each price range, we'll have a better idea of who we're looking to target on today's slate. So a quick little overall breakdown of what I went over today. Zach Plesac taking on these Detroit Tigers, you can definitely have interest in. He's not an outstanding pitcher, with the matchup, he's very respectable, and he's going to get that K boost taking on the Detroit Tigers. Like him today. I like the Cleveland Indians stack. I like the Atlanta Braves stack. It's just the weather we have to keep an eye out for. Max Fried's a valid pitching option taking on the New York Mets. Let's see. These New York Yankees are in a great spot taking on Martine Perez and Fenway. Once again, we have a weather concern with 11-mile-an-hour winds blowing in, but if we're just ignoring the weather, this is a tremendous spot for them. All the right-handed hitters I have a ton of interest in. My favorites are Luke Voit and Giancarlo Stanton. The Tampa Bay Rays are in a good spot. However, I mentioned Alex Cobb splits. He is better against lefties, so I don't want to be all in on the Rays, but you might have to. If you're stacking up a team, you got to be all in. So just limit your exposure to them. Have a few Rays stacks. Don't go crazy. Tyler Glasnow is a very good option taking on the Baltimore Orioles. I like the Milwaukee Brewers righties that match left-handed pitching, taking on Danny Duffy on the cheap end. Avisail Garcia, Keston Hiura, Ryan Braun, Jed Jerko. My favorites would be Garcia, Ryan Braun, Jed Jerko. Love those guys. Zach Gallen and Zach Greinke are both valid pitching options. I would prefer Zach Greinke taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks due to the matchup. The Los Angeles Dodgers are in a ridiculously good spot. You cannot get enough Dodgers in your lineups today. They're going to absolutely kill this kid, so it's going to be fun for the Dodgers today. So, yeah, like them. Ryan Castellini is a guy that I didn't really touch on in the video just strictly because I want to wait on the Vegas lines, and we have limited data on him. So, not Ryan Castellini. I'm sorry, Mitch White. I didn't touch on Mitch White because we have limited data on him. So just keep an eye on the Vegas lines. Most likely you're going to have a lot of interest on the Colorado side, but we're going to greatly prefer the Dodgers. So Rich Hill and Kyle Hendricks, both good pitching options. We have some weather helping them out in Wrigley, 14-mile-an-hour winds blowing in, and they're both very respectable pitchers. I think Jaime Barria might be that salary relief option guy we're looking for. I'll have to look into it a little more, but taking on this Texas Rangers team that does strike out, and he's better against lefties, and they have a bunch of lefties. So ironically, he might be a salary relief guy today. Chris Paddock taking on the Seattle Mariners is a very valid pitching option. I like him today. And then I would mention Chris Bassett as well, taking on the San Francisco Giants. They aren't the greatest, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's a good favorite. Real quick, just to mention him, he does have a 21.8% K rate, and he's just kind of below average. He's average. He's a respectable pitcher, so quick little glance at his numbers there for you guys. He's a valid option. And then, Chris Paddock and the San Diego Padres righties that crush lefties. Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Austin Nola, Will Myers. That 1 through 4 spot looking real juicy, taking on Kikuchi. So that will bring me to my home run call of the day. There's so many good spots, but we're dealing with. I don't like picking a Coors Field bat for my home run call. I just feel it's too easy. It kind of feels like cheating. I mean, it's Coors Field is the best hitting environment in baseball, so I could go ahead and just say Mookie Betts is going to hit a home run, but it's kind of a cheat code, I feel, so I try not to go there. I had mentioned I really like the Yankees, but they have that wind blowing in from left, so that's the only disclaimer there. And I really like the Braves taking on Steven Matz, and they have the same type of deal with the wind blowing in. So with all that being said, I'm going to go down to the San Diego Padres that I talked about on this late game. And today, for my home run call of the day, I'm going to pick Will Myers in the 4th spot, taking on Kikuchi. Will Myers crushes left-handed pitching. I really like him today. I like all the other spots as well. We can't just not play these teams because of the wind, but For my home run call of the day, I'm going to give you guys Will Myers in the 4th spot. Love him. Get him in your lineups. He's only 3.8K on DraftKings, and he's hit a home run today. So get Will Myers in your lineups. That is all for me. Please, if you're enjoying the content, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos that I release. And then go ahead and check out my Patreon packages. It's free today. Check out what I have to offer over there. I think I'm going to give you a lot of value. I'm going to improve your lineups on a day in and day out basis. And it's free today, so take advantage. That's all from me. I wish you all the best of luck tonight, and have a good one.